Hey everyone, it's Emily from Cottage Remedies. Today I'm going to be talking about circadian rhythm and how I practice circadian health in my day-to-day life, just to give you a very straightforward routine that I follow that can help you understand how you can incorporate these health practices into your own life. So if you don't know what our circadian rhythm is, it's a little bit like our internal clock, and it actually runs off our light environment, so the light signals that we receive from our environment. And our circadian rhythm actually controls many of the 24-hour cycle processes of our body. So for example, our alertness versus our sleepiness. And what is lesser known about the circadian rhythm is actually how much the light signals that we receive from our environment actually controls and interacts with the hormones in our body. So that can include melatonin, for example, and how blue light or artificial blue light at the wrong times of the day actually negatively affects our sleep because of how it affects melatonin production and its use in the body. So how I actually live my day-to-day life to make sure that my body is in tune with the light and dark cycles of the day is a way for me to actually, one, connect with my environment, and two, to make sure that the process of my body is actually working in alignment with my environment. So that's part of being connected to my environment, being connected more to nature. And so then I can be sure that my internal clock is actually, on time. Because what people don't really realize today is that most people's body clocks are completely out of whack. And if your body clock is out of whack, then how can your body be functioning optimally? How can it be functioning properly? And one thing that is going to be really helpful for you to actually understand how important this is to realize that your body doesn't read time in the same way that we read time, in the way that we look at a clock and then we can see what hour of the day it is. Our body doesn't do that. Our body relies on light signals to know what hour of the day it is and what process it needs to be doing for that particular time of the day. So this is important, for example, how the sun emits natural blue light at particular times of the day, so that your body knows when to be alert, when to be running off the right amounts of cortisol, to be, very energized and active during the day, be very productive. But you don't want to be like this at nighttime when you're supposed to be winding down and going to sleep. And that's why it's so harmful to actually be looking at artificial blue lights from our phones and TVs, so electronic devices. And also the lights in our house and in our fridge, for example, also emit artificial blue light. And so if you can imagine that during the day, the sun wants to emit natural blue lights for us to actually stimulate the production of cortisol for beneficial uses during the day, we don't want this happening at night, because we don't want a surge of energy at night when we should be winding down, resting and repairing. So that's when it becomes a little bit harmful, or very harmful, when you actually are mixing up the lights during the day that we should be naturally receiving. So at nighttime, you want to be actually blocking this artificial blue light when the sun has set, because naturally we wouldn't be receiving blue light at these hours of the day. And that is what's really contributing to a lot of people's sleep problems and insomnia. And that's because we are being kept awake at night, because when we look at all this blue light at nighttime, when it's actually dark outside, our body still thinks it's the middle of the day. So our body is, always up and running, because we're looking at blue light from the second we wake up, when we first look at our phones, all the way until we're going to sleep at whatever hour. Some people go to sleep at midnight, for example. So then our body is all out of whack. Our internal clock is all out of whack. So I want to give you a very clear, concise daily routine that I follow to actually regulate my circadian rhythm. So I'm going to start with the morning. So the first thing that I do when I wake up is I don't look at any artificial blue light. So I wake up in time to watch the sunrise. So that changes throughout the year depending on the season. But usually, well, at the moment, because we're going into summer, it's more so around like 6:30 or 6 to 6:30 is when the sun is rising at the moment. So I wake up just a little bit before the sun actually rises. I don't look at my phone, I don't turn on any lights, I don't open the fridge door. And I actually, from doing this over the years, have actually gotten used to being able to look out of my window and I look at where the sun is at and I know roughly what time it is of the morning. I don't even have to look at my phone when I first wake up to see what time it is. I just know by actually looking outside the window and then seeing how the sun actually moves throughout the year and the location of the sun, and I have actually been able to gauge what time it is just by doing that every single morning. But basically, I go downstairs and I go straight outside and I put my bare feet on the earth so that I'm grounded. If you can, the more skin contact that you can have to the grass or the dirt is even better. So sometimes I just sit on the floor and I have my bare feet on the grass and I have my hands on the grass behind me as well. And it's best to be somewhere where you can actually visibly see the sunrise. So understandably, some houses, you won't be able to see that. But if you can, it's even better, so you can genuinely watch the sunrise. But if not, just getting sunlight in your eyes, even if you can't actually see the sun, is still beneficial. So it's all about being outside, grounded, and exposing yourself to the sunrise, because at sunrise, that's when there is the highest amount of infrared light, and this is very healing, and it's going to actually be signaling to your body the right messages of what's supposed to be produced to actually function optimally throughout the day. So you want to be exposing yourself to the infrared light in the morning. That's why it's so important to not miss and not sleep through sunrise. So you can sun gaze. I like to sun gaze. Some people are a bit fearful of sun gazing. It's a bit more of like a spiritual practice. But you only want to actually directly look at the sun. This is sun gazing. Directly looking at the sun should only be done when the sun's very orange. And that is about half an hour from like sunrise to about half an hour later. So the sun has to be very orange. So it's within half an hour of sunrise and half an hour of sunset, and that's the only times during the day that's safe to sun gaze. So yeah, I personally do that, but it's completely up to you. Sometimes you can just look near the sun during the sunrise and that will be good enough. But yeah, so I am outside watching the sunrise for about 5 to 10 minutes, something like that. And then after that, I typically go back inside and I make breakfast. You want to be eating your first meal of the day within an hour to an hour and a half of waking up. And something that's key to note is that breakfast, it is actually the most important meal of the day. But the advertising campaigns that actually put out that message were, of course, the breakfast cereal companies that were saying that, you know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, go eat your cereal for breakfast. But it's important to note that whilst breakfast is actually extremely important for the day, you want to be eating the most nutrient dense foods of the day in the morning. So your most nourishing meal, even your largest meal, and a meal that's very high in animal fats, so saturated fats, very high in animal nutrition. This is what you want to be consuming in the morning after you've just watched the sunrise and within an hour to an hour and a half of waking up. And that is because you are actually setting up your body for the day. So you want to be consuming all the nutrition in the morning. Most people consume their largest meal at nighttime, and some people skip breakfast. If you actually wake up and you don't feel hungry in the mornings, that's a bit of a sign of a metabolic issue. You should actually be waking up feeling hungry and having an appetite in the morning. So at nighttime, that's when you act like, we'll get to this when I explain the routine at night, but most people, they have the other way around really, where they have a very small breakfast of maybe toast or cereal that's got virtually no key nutrients in there to power you through the day. And then at nights when they have all their, saturated fat and they have their meal, but that's when your body's winding down. So you don't actually need that. If you think of food as energy, you don't need that energy at nighttime when you're about to go to sleep. You need that energy in the morning to power you through the day, to make you feel energized. And you want a high amount of saturated fats in the morning to keep you satiated for hours until your next meal, and to keep you at a steady energy level and stable energy. So yeah, after I finish my breakfast, usually I do have 2 meals a day, and I find that works for me. Sometimes I might have 3 meals a day, but really it would be 2 meals a day and then maybe a very light meal in between. So yeah, it would be considered maybe a snack or something in between, but that means that I just actually do have 2 larger meals that are quite nutrient dense, so they're very satiating and nourishing. Okay, so you proceed with your day. During the day, if I'm spending a lot of the time on my computer or on my phone for whatever reason, because I do a lot of editing on my phone, then I will wear blue light blocking glasses. So these are, as you can see, this is something that's key to note, because there are a lot of companies out there that claim to be selling blue light blocking glasses, but if they have a clear lens, then they're fake. They are not actually going to be blocking the blue light. You need to have, I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well, but you need to have a yellow lens. These block up to 40% of blue light. So I don't wear them, out or anything. I only just wear them if I'm sitting in front of a screen for a while. And even my electronic devices are always set to night light. So they already do have quite an orange tinge to the screen, but I also do wear this as well, just as an extra addition to block artificial blue light, because artificial blue light in general is harmful. It's only the natural blue light that comes from the sun that's beneficial. And this gets into about, the actual rays, the electronic rays of these lights. The artificial blue light it's digital blue light, so it's not at all the same as the blue light that we receive from the sun. And this digital blue light does actually negatively affect our body, so it's best to be blocking it during the day or whenever you are using screens for a long period of time. But then I have my last meal of the day about an hour before the sun sets. And this is, once again, it's a nourishing meal. Always eat nourishing food. And then when the sun sets, I don't usually see the sunset. This is dependent on where you live. Once again, where I live, I actually can't see the sunset. I see the sunrise perfectly, but the sunset is not actually where I can see it. But if you can, if you are willing, if you know a spot and you're willing to drive there in the afternoon and go watch the sunset, then that's fantastic. There is, once again, great infrared light at these times of the day. So you can go ahead and you can do that. Just watching the sunset as well is very beneficial. And as soon as the sun has set, you want to immediately be blocking all blue light. So how I do that is I do wear these red lens blue light blockers. These ones, I believe the percentage is it blocks 99% of blue light, so it's quite a lot. The only thing is that obviously if you are to wear these, then light is going to be getting in above, below, and from the sides. So there is a bit of blue light that does get in. So a way to get around this, if you are fully committed to this lifestyle, is you can actually change the light bulbs in your house. You can change the lighting in your fridge to be infrared lighting or just red lighting, and then you're going to be fine, because there isn't going to be blue light coming in from any other directions. So that's an option. Otherwise, if you aren't able to do that, for example, if you live with other people that do not want these changes happening to their house, then at least just wearing this from sunset until you go to sleep is going to be doing a good job and helping you out. And you will notice when you start wearing this that you will feel tired earlier. I used to be someone that would go to sleep at 2 to 3 a.m. And 1 a.m. would be early for me. That was who I was. And I used to just think I was a night owl. I thought I had so much energy in the night, which I did. I would find that I would be tired when I woke up. And then once it hit 12 a.m., I was ready to party. I was so energetic. But what I was doing is I was sitting in front of my laptop screen. I was sitting in front of screens. And this was actually keeping me awake because my body thought it was the middle of the day. It's actually artificial blue light that signals the light hour of about 12 p.m. So the middle of the day. And obviously you do not want your body to be thinking that it's midday when it's actually midnight. So as soon as you start wearing these and you actually start blocking blue light, you're going to find that by 8 p.m., 9 p.m., you're actually feeling tired and you're wanting to go to sleep earlier naturally. And this is the goal. This is what you want, because if you're waking up for sunrise the next morning, you want a decent night's sleep. So you want to fit in lots of hours of sleep. So you actually want to start going to sleep earlier. And it's actually much better for you to be going to sleep earlier rather than later. It's not right for us to actually be waking or being awake until midnight and then going to sleep around then, or going to sleep early morning. We actually should be going to sleep about 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And if you can actually get in the cycle of maybe going to sleep at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., waking up at 5 a.m., or just having a sort of bedtime schedule, that is what's going to be really helpful, because our body actually does like routines, especially when it comes to sleep. Our body likes to have a bedtime, have a waking time, and get in that cycle. And then, your sleep hours are predictable. You know that you're going to be getting a good night's rest, lots of hours of sleep. And when you are blocking artificial blue light before you go to sleep, you can bet that you're going to be having a deep, deep healing and restful sleep. So that's about the cycle. I wake up in the morning and I do the same thing every morning that I already explained to you. That is actually how I maintain circadian health, how I regulate my circadian rhythm with the light and dark cycles of the day. And I hope that this makes a lot of sense for you. I do have some videos on my channel where I interviewed a few people on this subject who are a wealth of knowledge on the nitty-gritty details of the process of your body, that what actually goes on when you live this lifestyle, that I really recommend you go watch these videos. I'll link them in the description so you can find them more easily. But other than that, if you have any questions, be sure to ask me. I'd be happy to help. Thanks everybody for listening. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to follow along with more videos that I'll be posting.